information about these. So I am going to be recording this webinar. Okay, the recording has started. Thank you. And we'll have that link available to you. We'll have some Q&A following the presentation. As we are going though, please submit your questions in the chat and I'll pause a few times for questions as well. For those who aren't already familiar, Long Island Sound Study is a bi-state partnership. It was formed in 1985 and it includes federal and state agencies, many user groups and concerned stakeholders that are dedicated to restoring and protecting Long Island Sound. Our plan is guided by the four main themes that you see here. And as extension professionals, the five of us listed on this slide provide resources and guidance to help communities meet climate adaptation challenges and other environmental related challenges in the Long Island Sound coastal watershed of Connecticut and New York. And our work is guided by the Sustainable and Resilient Communities Working Group. And our work group is organized around the 5 priorities that you see listed here. And we're concerned with helping communities to be able to anticipate and overcome disturbances, while also keeping in mind ways that we can achieve well-being for all. So we keep social ecological integration as an overarching theme, as well as environmental justice. And these programs are designed to assist with the development of sustainability and resilience focused projects that will impact a community or more than one within or partially within this Long Island Sound coastal boundary. So first, we're going to go over the new program, which we're calling Track 1. And second, we'll go over the updates to the Grant Writing Assistance Program, which we're now calling Track 2. So through the Track 1 program, New York Sea Grant and Connecticut Sea Grant will provide assistance to communities to help them identify and develop sustainability and resilience focused projects. We are, through this program, aiming to help communities assess local climate risks, conceptualize project ideas, and conduct preliminary planning, whether through efforts or steps to help them be well positioned to access funding to then design and implement successful projects. So at the conclusion of the Track 1 program, we anticipate that those who have gone through it would be ready to then seek funding for resilience-focused projects. And applicants could then choose to utilize that Track 2 program. I'll also mention that getting support through Track 1 is not a pre-qualification to receiving support through Track 2. And keep in mind, this program, funds aren't directly routed to applicants. It's a reimbursable that is directly with the contractor who would be providing services. There's no match required. Eligibility is the same as our grant writing assistance programs. And this program will be open for expressions of interest through December 15th. And we'll go over a little bit more about how to apply and what we're looking for. So communities participating in this program can receive support for project scoping and planning at the local or regional level.
The screen changed, and so your notes did pop up. It was previously in presenter mode, but it seems to have popped into a different view.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can fix that.
Sarah Schaefer Brown said that perhaps you're showing a different screen, so it might be that you had multiple screens, and one of them decided to pop in there.
Yeah, let me see if I can try a different, pull it out as its own screen. Sorry, give me a moment. Okay. Funny, I did it halfway through. Okay. So you might see the top of the screen a little bit here, but does this work?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, thank you. So I was about to explain that the types of support that this work could include could be, but are not limited to, climate change risk and or vulnerability assessments, strategy development and project planning, project prioritization and funding guidance, preliminary community engagement, project site feasibility, and conceptual design. So the support that we're offering through this program should be helping to foster a sustainable and resilient Long Island Sound. And the end products of the program should be advancing your community's efforts to anticipate, absorb, accommodate, and or recover from the effects of natural disturbances. So sea level rise, storms, extreme events, human impacts also. So also keeping in mind, you know, our overarching themes of promoting well-being, and particularly in communities with environmental justice concerns. The work that we support also has to advance one or more of the Long Island Sound Comprehensive Conservation and Management Plan implementation actions. So that plan, also called the CCMP, includes a list of implementation actions, and we have a subset of those highlighted for this program that your work would have to align with one or more of. All right, so what does the application look like? Pretty straightforward. We need to know who you are. We need to know what you would like to accomplish. Now, since this is planning support, you might not have all of the details yet, but what we would want to know is, you know, where would the project be and how this assistance could help you, and also answer a few questions about if this, how this assistance would advance sustainability and resilience. So we know that it works with our program, and any components of your project that would address environmental justice concerns. Also, let us know who your partners are and any pre-engagement that you've done. A cost quote is not required. If you have any estimates or anything like that, it would be helpful to include though. And here's the timeline that we have laid out for this program. So the expressions of interest I mentioned are due on December 15th, and then we'll be reviewing them the months following that and letting candidates know in the spring. Then we will be procuring contractors through a competitive process. And this will take some time. So the award notification and time when the contracts could start, we're estimating to be in the summer of 2024. So each of our New York and Connecticut institutions will be releasing a separate RFQ for contractors after we've collected all of these expressions of interest and have an idea of what the need is. So we do not have contractors on board yet. We want them to be responsive to the needs that we receive through your expressions of interest. And we will scope, that contract together with the awardees, again, to make sure that it matches the needs as best as possible. And the awardees would be responsible for signing off on the deliverables so that the contractors can be paid. So let me pause here before I get into, I have some, FAQs I can go through, but I just wanted to have a pause and see if there are any questions. All right, I will start going through some FAQ type questions. Please enter any questions you do have in the chat though. So applying is easy through a Google form. So we have that link available on our website and in the RFP itself. Don't like the Google form, you can fill out a document version of that and email it to us. Or if you don't want to send it through email, you could even mail it in. For guidance in terms of filling out the program, we have an example form. So if you're not sure, how to answer a question or what we're looking for, please refer to that, and it might help clarify for you. So what if your group is outside of the coastal boundary? Well, it's possible that your group could be outside of the coastal boundary as long as the project and community or communities impacted are inside of the coastal boundary. So the benefit has to be inside that boundary. And what kind of support are we anticipating here? So as I mentioned, the work overall has to advance one or more of those implementation actions from the Long Island Sound Studies CCMP. We are looking for the end result of this project to help your community anticipate the impacts of climate change related issues, and also, balancing the needs of your community to thrive. How many do we plan to support? So we have up to $1 million available for this program. So we are estimating between 10 and 20 communities throughout the coastal boundary area. We are also considering geographical balance. So we hope to balance the awards somewhat throughout that region. And what contractors are going to be hired? So we will procure contractors competitively, and they must be qualified, and they will be vetted through Cornell in New York and Yukon in Connecticut. That scope, as I mentioned before, would be developed in consultation with the awardee and in this case, University of Connecticut. And who can apply? We're calling our applications here expressions of interest. Eligible groups include municipalities. It could be intermunicipal councils like COGS, nonprofits, NGOs, private voluntary organizations, community-based organizations or CBOs, state and federally recognized or non-recognized Indigenous or Native peoples and communities. All right, and let me pause one more time for any thoughts or questions. And anything we're not able to address live today, we will, take note of those questions, and we can attempt to answer them with a follow-up communication. I can't see the chat so well, but I think I saw something come up in there.
Yes, so we had the question of, can you give an example of a project that could be funded under this grant?
Sure, and let me let's go back to my list here. So one example, could be that a community wants to sees the need to do a climate vulnerability assessment. And so in that case, we would, consider, the needs, the size of the town and whatnot, and put out a request to contractors who, would have experience in that area. Another example could be that, a community has many different needs. So let's say in a planning document, maybe they're the community's plan of conservation and development, they have a list of potential projects identified, but they're not sure where to start or which projects would be competitive for various funding opportunities out there. In this case, you could say that we want help with prioritizing these projects so that we could be we could present them in a way that's competitive for grant proposals. So we could work together to hire a contractor to assist with the prioritization and set up like a project pipeline for your community. And then, at the end of that, you could be ready to, say start with the highest priority project, apply for grant writing assistance, and you would know, which grant opportunities you want to aim which projects for and over, what period of time. And another example could be like very early project planning. So let's say you do know which project you want to pursue, but work hasn't been done on it yet. So you're not quite competitive for Long Island Sound Futures Fund because you need to already have some plans in hand to be competitive there. So this could help get the preliminary work done, some concept design, some feasibility, and produce some outputs that you could then have to show for making you competitive for a planning grant. So really, first stage sorts of activities. Okay, other thoughts or questions?
It looks like Dixon said that was helpful. We have another question that came through, and Michelle is popping off. How or would costs such as community convening, stakeholder outreach, and listening events, the venue costs, food costs, planning costs, including staff time to work with the contractor, be funded by this program? Example of costs would be venue rental, lunch for partners, nonprofit lead staff time, etc.
Yeah, I think that that could be worked into a proposal if what needs to happen is meetings with the community, and that is part of the goal of the preliminary engagement that needs to be done, then that could certainly be included. We just would need to be able to find contractors who would typically take on that work from the all those different aspects of that work. So if it's something where you've seen contractors do this and in other capacities before, then as long as it's advancing the goals of the program and and all the eligibility that we outlined, then that could be eligible. There could be different levels of capacity assistance needed depending on what your current capacity is. The program is designed to help offer capacity for those who don't have it. So, if you can express the need to say, we currently have this need, we don't have the capacity to do X, Y, and Z, then that would make a good case, for us to be able to offer the assistance. Okay, anything else before I go to the next section?
Nothing new as of right now. Everything looks good.
Okay. So on to track 2, the Long Island Sound Resilience Grant Writing Assistance Program. Through this program, we have received 26 applications to date, and 17 of those have ended up resulting in accepted awards. You can see here how that's been spread out among our regions. The applicants have mostly been a mixture of New York and Connecticut municipalities, nonprofits, and an academic organization. And the types of projects that we've seen have included watershed plans, feasibility and engineering studies for various resilience projects, including beach, wetland, and living shorelines. We've seen implementation work for green infrastructure, habitat restoration, and improvements to public access. Also community outreach and engagement, education, and citizen science, shell recycling and oyster gardening programs, a vacuum truck purchase, and urban forestry equipment. So we've gotten a range of help out the door to assist with grant applications related to a pretty wide scale of resilience activities. So through this, again, this is track 2. We provide grant preparation and writing capacity to communities pursuing funding for sustainability and resilience focused projects. So we're looking for the outcome to be, developing successful sustainability and resilience focused project grant proposals. And for those communities to develop the capacity to navigate the funding landscape. So again, you don't have to have gone through track 1 that we went through before to receive support for the track 2. The awards can be up to $9,950 per application. Again, this is an award that goes directly to the contractor. It's not a pass-through. And applicants, will note, can now submit multiple applications. So that is, that award is per project. I'll get into the details of that in a minute. No match, same eligibility as we discussed previously. And this opportunity is on a rolling basis as long as we have funding. Oops. Changes to highlight. So in the previous RFP, there was a deadline listed of September 30th. So that is removed and it's now just rolling on forward. We've expanded the footprint a little bit. So now Bronx and Queens within that coastal boundary are also included. And the award amount I mentioned was per application. So an application equals 1 project. So you can now submit for multiple projects. So if you have a different project that you want grant writing assistance for, you can have more than 1 application to us. Also, now per project, you can list multiple grant opportunities. So let's say you have you're developing a living shoreline project. You can apply to multiple funding sources for that project. Let's say you're shopping it out to a couple of different opportunities, within a time frame where when those deadlines are. We could support your contractor for the work that they would do for those multiple opportunities that you identify. The award per project would still be the same, though, that's $9,950. Example projects could include plans for sustainability and resilience or watersheds, green infrastructure, green stormwater management or low impact development, other improvements to infrastructure, that would relate to increasing resilience to flooding, sea level rise, storm surge. What would not be included here would be, say you want to repair your seawall, or you're looking to, add infrastructure that doesn't do anything to advance resilience in your community. That would not be eligible. So it has to be something, that is advancing resilience, your ability to adapt to climate change in this sense. Other types of eligible projects, right sizing of culverts, removing dams, various nature-based solutions, including restoration, retreat, relocation, or land acquisition relevant to habitat and lands in the floodplain, engagement that also relates to advancing sustainable and resilient communities. So again, refer to the Long Island Sound Study CCMP implementation actions, as the project would have to advance one or more of those. Application details here. Again, you need to know who you are. In this case, we would need you to identify the consultant that you want to work with. And you would need to describe what they would be doing for you. So, are they, writing your narrative? Are they helping with mapping or budget preparation? Like, which aspects of grant assistance are they providing? And we would need to see a budget. So, that it can be simple, but we need to understand, what's your contractor's rate? What activities are they going to do? Just an outline of what you need and how much it would cost. We need to know which funding opportunity or now opportunities you plan to apply for. And then basically who would be awarded the result of that funding opportunity. So not, sometimes a project might have multiple parties involved. So we ask that just for clarification. Okay, like who is actually, the main applicant that would be receiving funds from, if you're applying to Futures Fund, who's going to receive that. Then as far as the project goes, where it is, how it's going to advance sustainability and resilience, how it addresses any environmental justice concerns, what type of project it is. This information helps us understand if your project is going to be a good fit for a funding opportunity that you're targeting. So, we may, know of many different funding opportunities or which ones, are looking for which types of projects. So that just helps us offer, guidance. And, who else you're working with on your project. Any engagement that you've done with the community would be helpful to know. If you have that information, if you've applied for other grants for this project, that would be helpful also. And any other supporting information, again, just to help us make sure that this aligns with Long Island Sound Study implementation actions, and with the goals of our Sustainable and Resilient Communities program work. So we released this opportunity on October 16th. And as you mentioned, we have a rolling basis, but we also, consider that we are in like a review and feedback period. So, we do our best to be responsive quickly, to applications, to get any feedback back to the applicant. We might need clarity on a few things, and then to have an answer and process laid out as soon as possible. Within that that Google form application, you can find a link to our list of current and upcoming funding opportunities. And we currently update this on a monthly basis and send it out to our stakeholders. Through the new RFP, we've also laid out a grants calendar. So this is a way that we are outlining the recommended time frame for applying for grant writing assistance, looking at upcoming grant deadlines. So we highlighted some of the main resilience-related funding opportunities that are recurring, that we had an estimate of when they usually come out each year. So that's why we don't have exact deadlines on this calendar. They're estimates, but it's a way to look ahead and see and think about when you would want to apply to us for grant writing assistance if you are targeting one of these specific funding opportunities. Bottom line is, as soon as you decide to pursue a grant opportunity, that is a great time to apply to us in anticipation of that for grant writing assistance. Ideally, that would be 6 to 8 weeks. And the reason for that is both for administrative processing, but also to give your contractor adequate time to prepare your grant proposal. Because we need to have our agreement in place before your contractor can start their work. So, as soon as you've decided, would be the time to get in touch with us. That also gives us time for any feedback that's needed. There might be a little back and forth or questions that we need to answer. And, that way we can get your contractor, processed and into the system, well before the grant deadline. We do our best to process everything as soon as possible. We'll work on it in the order that we get them. When we start getting close to the grant deadlines, we're not able to guarantee that all that contracting would be wrapped up, prior to your grant deadline. So we're laying out this timeline just as a way to try to be helpful in terms of planning for the amount of time that these things could take. We will also note that we're developing a new interface via a Resilience Resource Hub website. So soon we will have our upcoming resilience-related grant opportunities all listed out on our website with tags for the ones that are open for the grant writing assistance. And you'll be able to filter and see them, by where you are or the types of projects that you're looking for. Applying is just like in the planning assistance. We have a Google form. You can also use the Word document version or the snail mail version. And we have an example application for this opportunity as well that you can refer to. Similar to how we discussed before, the same rules apply here. Your community doesn't necessarily have to be within the coastal boundary, but the impact of the project does have to be. All right. What about the contractors? What if you don't already have someone in mind, to assist you with grant writing? So we do provide a contractors list. Now we will note that you are not in any way limited to the contractors on this list. These were contractors who requested to be available for this opportunity and got pre-registered into the Cornell or Yukon system. So, this list will change over time. You're not limited to it. But if you are not sure where to start, you could use this list. There's a little description there, and talk to, some people who are familiar with the program. Do you need an official quote? Yes, you do. There's no set format. We do provide an example in case that's helpful, but we are not able to move forward with the processing until we have that quote. So it's best to just get the quote and send it along when you submit your application. Can you list multiple grants that you will apply to? Yes. So each application, again, should be for one discrete project, but you can plan for multiple grant opportunities that contractor would support. All that means for us is that we would want to follow up with you and know what the results were from each of those grant competitions. We would want to also, have a copy on file of what those, or see that the contractor produced the work that they said that they were going to do. And what if you have different projects you're thinking about? Yes, so you can now, in the new version, apply for multiple projects. So what if you are interested in being the contractor? So what if you want to provide the grant writing support services? Well, we have a form for that. You can fill out this contractor interest form, and then your information can be added onto that contractors list that applicants could review. So if you have a consultant in mind, go over the instructions with them, and you could go ahead and have them register as a Yukon vendor. And this is to reduce the amount of time between the award, us saying, yes, you have grant writing services, and actually getting the contract. So for Yukon, there are some requirements, that your contractor should review if they're not already registered, and you have identified them to us, then we will have them be in touch with Michelle, and she'll work with them they're going to get an email basically and to go through the registration process. And, she can help answer questions about that. But we can't issue the purchase order until that registration process is complete. And, then the contractor is, would need to, after they've done their work, submit an invoice. They've, gone through the instructions already through the registration process. And, the applicant, would need to sign off on that. So our fiscal manager, Michelle, as I mentioned, can assist with that project. Her information, Sarah Schechter is also putting in the chat, and she's very helpful, and she can help let you know what you need to do or where you are in the process. With Connecticut, it's a multi-step process to get registered. So sometimes contractors or potential contractors, think they've completed it, but there's additional steps. So, just stay in communication as, there might be a couple of more things to do. So I'll pause here for any questions. Please enter them into the chat. We'll answer them here, or if we run out of time, we can always follow up. So I also wanted to reiterate our contact details here. I'm Deb. I cover Western Connecticut, so Greenwich through Branford, mostly coastal. You know how the boundary is shaped. And then Sarah Schechter covers, Guilford East. And we can always sort out if you're not sure where you are, email any of us and we'll get you to the right person. We also have a general email address, where you can contact the full team. Great. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We hope that this helped answer some questions. This will be available as a recording, and we're happy to work with you on any questions that you have. As the programs are very new or fairly new, it's common for there to be a lot of questions. So please don't be shy. This is all, we hope to be helpful to our communities to reach their climate resilience goals. So any way that we can be of assistance, in that realm, we hope to be. The programs were, developed after our needs assessments, through conversations with the communities. So it's meant to be responsive to your specific needs. So, please continue to let us know what those needs are so we can, be as helpful as possible. All right. And if there's no other questions, we'll wrap up and we will hopefully be hearing from you soon. Thanks.